To all the non-believers, 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 non-believers. I'm making out.
What's up, y'all? This is Jay Varsity, and with everything that went on yesterday with the NBA trade deadline, we got different reactions. Who took the L's? Who took the dubs? Who killed it in the trade deadline yesterday? And we're gonna get straight to the point. I hope you guys are doing good, and let's go over every trade and let's see who improved, who didn't make much improvement, who regressed in that aspect, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So, a lot of people are going to have mixed reactions and different opinions about these deals. I'm just giving my personal opinions. And I'm pretty sure you've seen a whole bunch of these all over YouTube. But, everybody's got a right to their opinion. And that's why we like hearing different takes. Anyway, let's get right into it. The first deal I want to get into is JJ Redick and Nicolo Melli getting traded to the Dallas Mavericks, and the New Orleans Pelicans receive James Johnson, Wes Iwundu, and the 2021 second-round pick. To me, the winner of this trade is the Dallas Mavericks. JJ Redick was rumored to get bought out, and the next big rumor was that JJ Redick was going to go to Brooklyn. Well, I guess all things got shut down with this trade. And to me, the Dallas Mavericks, they just get two more good three-point shooters. I mean, how many more shooters can Luka Doncic get? That's just insane to me. That's insane. How many more shooters can Luka Doncic have? It's just he gets a lot of spacing, and with his playmaking style, he knows where to find shooters. So I think this is a dub in my book, and not having to give up any key core pieces. So that, again, like I said, another win for Dallas. This is somewhat an okay deal for the New Orleans Pelicans. Getting a guy like James Johnson, he's more an enforcer type, and he's good for veteran purposes. He's good to be that veteran in the locker room to he's not going to be a key impact guy, but he'll be that enforcer and not let his teammates get pushed around. That's what he's really good for. He's that good support teammate. He might not make a huge impact, but he's a good piece in that aspect. He's not going to let guys like Lonzo, Zion, and Brandon Ingram, he's not going to let them get pushed around. He's going to be there to have that back so they can build a little bit more backbone when they deal with physical teams. So it's an okay trade for the New Orleans Pelicans, but I believe it's more of a dub for the Dallas Mavericks. Let's see. Let's see the next deal. Oh, the big deal of the day yesterday. And me personally, I couldn't be any happier with this deal. The Miami Heat getting Victor Oladipo. Oh my God! And I think the Houston Rockets they just gave up, and they just took any deal that they could find, because the deal that they got for Victor Oladipo, the Miami Heat trade Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk and a 2022 first-round pick swap. That's a steal. To me, as a Heat fan, you couldn't ask for anything better. You didn't have to give up Duncan Robinson. You didn't have to give up Tyler Hero. You didn't have to give up a core piece. You didn't have to give up Goran Dragic or Kendrick Nunn. You got basically Victor Oladipo for basically Kelly Olynyk, because Avery Bradley was barely playing anyway. He was barely playing anyway, and that 2022 first-round pick swap, again, it's a swap anyway. So to me, this trade benefits Miami, and depending on how Victor Oladipo looks throughout the rest of the season, or even in the next season, we'll just see how much he impacts the team. But with the buyout market, you got the rumor of them being the front runner of getting LaMarcus Aldridge. The Miami Heat are looking to be very, very solid, and and they're making a lot of nice moves. And when people thought the Miami Heat were going to be dead in the water, here they are. Miami is back again. Heat Nation is back. They're making moves. That man Pat Riley. Every time I somewhat lose faith in Pat Riley, here he comes. Here he comes in the clutch, making boss moves, man. Pat Riley be the Don, bro. But then in the Houston Rockets standpoint, where do I begin with the Houston Rockets? Where do I begin with the Houston Rockets? This is by far, this is the worst transition for a team that loses a franchise player, a generational talent like James Harden. Because as much as I criticize James Harden, he is a generational talent. But for a team like the Houston Rockets to let a guy like him go, and what you got in return is it's mediocre. It's absolutely garbage what you got for James Harden. Like you got a few picks, but then at the end of the day, if what you got at the end of the day is Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk and what's left of John Wall, because you let go of DeMarcus Cousins, also you let go of Karis LeVert, who's starting to ball out in Indiana. And the Rockets just seem to be taking loss after loss, and this trade did not help. Miami didn't have to give up anything, like I just said, and the Rockets basically just they had no choice because Victor Oladipo was not going to re-sign with the Rockets. He basically said it himself without having to say it. He turned down a 2-year extension, and he basically has. He voiced out how much he likes the Miami Heat organization, and so he got what he wanted 3 or 4 months in advance. Like, there you go. He ended up going to Miami anyway. So to me, this is a big loss for the Houston Rockets. This season has just set them back after losing James Harden. This is gonna be a good 5+ years of the Houston Rockets. They're just gonna be bad. They're just gonna be bad. The Houston Rockets. I don't know how they could come back from this. They would have to get superstar talent out of their most amazing of luck in order to bounce back from this. But I don't see it happening. I do not see it happening. I really don't. But yes, the Houston Rockets. They're just falling back, and it's like that saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Well, the Rockets are falling hard. The Los Angeles Clippers trade Lou Williams to the Atlanta Hawks for Rajon Rondo. And that also includes a 2023 second-round pick and a 2027 second-round pick and cash compensation, as they call it. So yeah, the Clippers, they get their playmaking point guard like they were trying to get in the offseason. But in a way, they could have simply gotten Rondo in free agency. They could have simply just gotten Rondo in free agency like they planned to do. So I believe trading Lou Williams, it's not such a bad thing, because Lou Williams never exactly impacted the Clippers when it comes to the playoffs, because we saw what happened. That whole lemon pepper Lou thing, even though we joke about that, it's just his playoff performance just never impacted the game. For some reason, some way, somehow, I don't know. It's just maybe it's just the pressure, maybe. But he always seems to be able to handle situations in the regular season, but then the postseason comes and it just doesn't come on the same result. But the Clippers are they are betting a lot on Rajon Rondo with this deal, because what they're saying is they're not betting on regular season Rondo, they're betting on playoff Rondo. and we've seen what Rondo could do in the postseason. He turns into a whole nother player. Rondo just becomes the ultimate floor general, and defensively, he turns into a defensive genius. Like, we all saw what he did with the Lakers last year. He impacted that Rockets series, even though he is not exactly the most greatest of offensive players. He still made an impact one way or another. So for me, I think both sides evenly won in a way. The Hawks get another. They get another great piece. They got a great piece coming off the bench because Rondo was only giving you 4 points a game. Easily, Lou Williams could give you a good 14 points a game. So I think the bench for Atlanta just got better. The Clippers got their playmaking guards. So I would say that Patrick Beverley wouldn't be so reliant on having to play that playmaking guard because he's more of just a defensive guard, and his offensive game is not exactly I wouldn't say special, but I'm just saying in my opinion. I'm not an NBA player, obviously, but yeah, I think evenly both these teams won because I think both players just needed a different environment where they actually did fit. Because Rondo fits more with a team like the Clippers who needed a playmaking guard, and Lou Williams fits more on a team like the Atlanta Hawks that they needed that scoring off. They just needed that scoring off the bench. They needed that scoring punch coming off the bench, and we all know Lou Williams can do that. So let's see. Oh, okay. Here we go. Luke Cornett and Mo Wagner get traded to the Boston Celtics, and the Boston Celtics send Daniel Tice, and they send Daniel Tice to the Chicago Bulls. Washington receives Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchison, and the Chicago also receives Troy Brown Jr. and Javonte Green. The Boston Celtics, I'm going to get into in a moment, but the Boston Celtics, to me, they did horrible in the trade deadline. They did not answer any of the questions that they needed answers to. They haven't filled the requirements that they need. They need size. They need a big. They need a reliable big. Tristan Thompson's not the answer, and the only other decent, reliable big that you had, Daniel Tice, you traded him for Mo Wagner. And to me, that doesn't solve your problem either. That does not solve your problem. Now, I get it. Robert Williams, he's playing great when it comes to being a great rim protector, but on the offensive end, what's he gonna do for you? And to me, the winner of this 3-team trade is the Chicago Bulls. To me, the Chicago Bulls, you get a guy like Daniel Tice, you get Javonte Green, you get Troy Brown Jr., you're building more depth, and I'm gonna get into more with the Chicago Bulls because I think the Chicago Bulls are decent winners at the trade deadline also. So the Washington Wizards, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what route they think they're going. Maybe they're just taking some weak contracts, some bad contracts, so that they can build more cap space for the future. But so far, to me, the winner of this trade is the Chicago Bulls. Let's see. Let's get into the next deal. Pneumonia Valencia. From the Sacramento Kings gets traded to the Miami Heat for Mo Harkless and Chris Silva. Now, I like this move. Mo Harkless was okay, but he never exactly fit with the Miami Heat system. He's a great defensive guy, but I think for the position that he was playing, he just didn't fit in the offense. He was very stiff on the offensive end, and on the defensive end, he was okay at times, but then he really got lost he would get lost on pick and rolls, on switching. It just didn't work out like I thought it would pan out. And Chris Silva was a nice piece. He was very good at one. He was starting to gel really well in the system, but I guess they just thought he was more of an asset for a trade piece. And for a guy like Valencia, he fills in that power forward spot a little bit that they were missing from when they had Jay Crowder last year. Now, granted, I do miss Jay Crowder. I really do. I miss Jay Crowder a lot. I think if he was on this Miami Heat team right now with Victor Oladipo and these guys, oh my Lord, I think the East would be in trouble at some point. But we still got that the drama in Brooklyn. We got that crap show. But let's see the next. Oh no, my grade for this. Again, Miami, another big move for Miami. That's a plus in my book for Miami. And the Sacramento Kings, you got two good decent pieces. You're gonna make a smooth transition, even though the Sacramento Kings have been a mess for who knows how many years, but you still got Buddy Hield, you still got De'Aaron Fox, you still got Harrison Barnes, you add a guy like Mo Harkless, you got Rashard Holmes, you got something going. Not a playoff team yet, but you still got something going. George Hill to the Philadelphia 76ers in a 3-team trade. Now, the Philadelphia 76ers get George Hill and Ignas Brazdeikis. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. The Oklahoma City Thunder get Tony Bradley, Austin Rivers, a 2020 second-round pick, and a 2026 second-round pick. And the New York Knicks receive Terrence Ferguson, Vincent Fournier, and the 2021 second-round pick. The winners to me are the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Philadelphia 76ers. The Oklahoma City Thunder, and I'm saying that they're winners in terms of all the picks that they're gonna have for the next few years. Like, if I've read this correctly, the Oklahoma City Thunder have 17 first-round picks and 17 second-round picks. Like, what the hell? Like, they are literally what the Boston Celtics were when they did that Brooklyn Nets trade. When they did that Brooklyn Nets trade, Boston was in the same exact position. They had a ton of first-round picks, and we thought Boston was going to be smart with them. Now let's see if OKC is going to be smart with those picks, because we can't have another thing with what we're seeing in Boston right now. But the Philadelphia 76ers, I love the move picking up George Hill. Because they got that guard that he's a very solid guard. He played great for the Milwaukee Bucks last season. He shot great off. He shot a career high off the three. He's a great floor general. He attacks the basket. He'll play defense. He's everything that Philly needed when they were trying to get Kyle Lowry. So I think you sort of got your a taller version of Kyle Lowry, but to me, he fits the agenda of what Philly needs to do. And it's gonna help Philly's depth wise, and in closing moments, you could put him in the lineup in the fourth quarter, and that way teams aren't attacking Seth Curry, because he's not exactly a great defender. You can't attack George Hill like that, depending on who it is, depending on who you got George Hill guarding. They can't just attack George Hill the entire time, because he will get his stops. He'll get his stops from time to time. So to me, the biggest winners, and the New York Knicks, you just got more young pieces. So to me, you got youth on your side when it comes to the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, You got a lot of youth, and you got something going on. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Knicks so far this season. They've been a very fun team to watch, and it's because they're so young and they got all this energy. They play hard. Tom Thibodeau's got this team playing defense, man. He does not let this team slack off. So the New York Knicks did okay, but I still say the biggest winners are the Philadelphia 76ers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Portland Trail Blazers trade Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood for Norman Powell. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I do not like this trade. I do not like this trade in the aspect of that you traded Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. absolutely blew up in the bubble last season, and he was lighting teams up from the perimeter. Gary Trent Jr. was literally a nightmare. Like, he would go off. It seemed like he would never miss a three. He was a great perimeter shooter, and he's getting even better as a perimeter defender. He's getting better as a defender, and you traded him, and you also traded Rodney Hood, who's a great bench piece, because Rodney Hood, he hit a clutch. He'll take over a game sometimes coming off the bench, and he's hit big shots for Portland before. You gave away those two guys to the Toronto Raptors for Norman Powell, who is playing great, by the way. I'm not criticizing Norman Powell, saying that he's playing bad or nothing. Norman Powell is playing great. But you gave up to me what were two key pieces to your roster. Portland already, to me, had a decent roster, and now they just set themselves back again. You set yourself back once again, and I just don't understand why Portland made this move. I don't see why they thought they were in desperate need for Norman Powell. You basically had two great rotation pieces, and you traded them for Norman Powell, and now you just shrunk your bench, you shrunk your point production, because now your three-point shooting is somewhat compromised, because Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum can only shoot so much from the perimeter. Gary Trent Jr. was giving you that when you threw Gary Trent into the lineup with C.J. and Dame, that he gave more spacing on the floor, because you always had to look out for Gary Trent Jr. coming off of screens. So to me, I think Portland just put themselves in another tough situation. I feel like they're gonna miss Gary Trent, and I think this is an L on the Blazers, and this is a dub for the Raptors, because you get two good rotation guys, and you're moving somewhat in a better direction after you didn't have to give up Kyle Lowry, because you somewhat couldn't find a good deal. Even though, to me, low-key, the Raptors were being a little greedy when it came to Kyle Lowry. So this is an okay move for the Toronto Raptors, but this is an L for the Blazers. Oh, this was my favorite move of the day, because this was the most shocking move. Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark get traded to the Denver Nuggets, and the Orlando Magic got Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, a 2025 first-round pick. The Denver Nuggets officially, to me, they are officially, I would say, if healthy, my top three teams, and this is no disrespect to the Utah Jazz, but my top three most dangerous teams are, and I'm saying when healthy, like I said, if healthy, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Denver Nuggets, and the Los Angeles Clippers. The Denver Nuggets they just got a whole lot more dangerous with this pickup of Aaron Gordon, because now you're going to have shooting all over the floor. All over the floor. Nikola Jokic is going to have the time of his life with this lineup. And if you were to put Michael Porter Jr. in the starting five, oh no. Oh no. This team is going to be, I say, championship contender right there. Championship contender right there. Put Michael Porter Jr. in the starting five, and with Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Monte Morris, and Jamal Murray. And oh my God, man, Denver is just nuts. This was a great pickup for Denver. You gave up practically nothing to get Aaron Gordon. This was the move that the Boston Celtics were supposed to make. I was anticipating Aaron Gordon going to the Boston Celtics the entire time I was through the trade deadline. I was waiting to hear Aaron Gordon to the Boston Celtics, and when it didn't happen, I was just shocked. I was just beyond shocked. I was shocked that Denver was able to get him. And they also picked up JaVale McGee, which adds more to their crazy depth as is. Denver just got insanely deep. They're insanely talented, and they're gonna be dangerous for years to come. And to me, the shooting guard position just needs a slight upgrade. And I'm telling you, Denver to me should be an automatic contender, depending on what they do in the offseason. If they just even get a slight upgrade at the shooting guard position, then Denver is set. It's championship or bust. Like, this team, it would be fully loaded. I love this move by Denver. I love it. It was the most shocking move. It was an impact move. To me, it's going to shake up the Western Conference. And to me, come playoff time, you cannot take Denver lightly. So I love this. I love this. The Orlando Magic for this move, you got Gary Harris, you got RJ Hampton, a great young piece. Hopefully when you got your whole team healthy, well, you're not exactly going to be insane. You're not going to be insanely good, but you're going to be insanely young. You're going to be in the mid tier. You're going to be fighting for the playoff spot, but you're going to still need years to come, and you're going to need a couple more pieces. So obviously, if judging by how I just judged that trade, obviously I give the dub to the Denver Nuggets. Evan Fournier getting traded to the Boston Celtics for Jeff Teague, who got waived by the Orlando Magic, and 2 second-round picks. Evan Fournier is a great perimeter shooter. He could get his own shot off the dribble to driving to the basket. He's a great player, but he was on the starting lineup in the Orlando Magic, and now he has to get used to coming off the bench. And to me, I don't know. I have to see it to believe it, but again, the Boston Celtics did not solve any of their problems. To me, neither one of these teams benefit from this trade. The Boston Celtics don't get any better because they traded Daniel Tice. The person they should have been trying to go after is Aaron Gordon. If they would have got Aaron Gordon, I would have said that's an impactful move because you would have had a starting five of Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Aaron Gordon, and Tristan Thompson. Or if you want to throw Daniel Tice in that lineup, or depending if you didn't trade him, and if that was the case, you would have had Tristan Thompson with Aaron Gordon, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker. To me, that would have been a respectable lineup, and all you would have had to do was build up bench depth through the buyout market, and then you let go of Jeff Teague. You also let go of Jeff Teague, and he ended up getting waived by Orlando anyway. So the Boston Celtics didn't solve any of their problems. The Orlando Magic they got 2 second-round picks. Nothing really happened for them either. So to me, this is more of an L for the Boston Celtics. But like I said, Evan Fournier, he's a great player. He could create his own shot. He's a great scorer, a great three-point shooter, but he does not solve any of Boston's problems. He just really doesn't. I'm just being brutally honest with that. Let's see. Another trade involving an Orlando Magic player, Nikola Vucevic to Chicago. Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu get traded to the Chicago Bulls for Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, a 2021 first-round pick, and a 2023 first-round pick. Like I said, I was liking Chicago through the trade deadline. This was a good move. You gave a crime partner to Zach LaVine. The Chicago Bulls are going to be are automatically, if they get into the play-in tournament, I would not be surprised if the Chicago Bulls could find a way to sneak into the playoffs. I would not be surprised if they snuck into the playoffs because, man, this was a move that I didn't expect either because I did not expect Nikola Vucevic to get traded to Chicago. Al-Farouq Aminu, I think that's just more of a he had to get included into the deal in order to make it happen. But Otto Porter Jr., he hasn't exactly been the same since his days on the Wizards, so I'm not surprised that they let him go. Wendell Carter Jr., again, another asset, and the 2 first-round picks. The 2 first-round picks for Orlando, I think that's a dub on their part with the first-round picks. But the Chicago Bulls, they officially got themselves a core to build around. They still got Kobe White. They still got Lauri Markkanen. They're going to be a very fun and tough team to watch because Nikola Vucevic is a very skilled big man. He can shoot from the perimeter, dominating the paint. He's got a mid-range shot. We all know what Zach LaVine can do. He can score from all over the floor. We know what Kobe White can do. We know what Lauri Markkanen can do. The Chicago Bulls, they're slowly making a comeback, but I'm telling you, just because of these additions, I'm slowly starting to believe. And with the addition of Daniel Tice, also they also got Troy Brown Jr. They are automatically a dark horse to sneak into the NBA, to sneak into the playoffs. So I would not sleep on Chicago. Let's see. The next deal. Toronto sends Terrence Davis to Sacramento for a 2021 second-round pick. That's an okay move for the Sacramento Kings. You're building more depth. You're getting more youth. And so I would say this is a pretty even trade. The second-round pick, who knows how that's going to turn out, because we've seen great second-round picks, but second-round picks are not exactly something that you would try to strive for. We got the Golden State Warriors sending Brad Wanamaker to the Charlotte Hornets. To me, the Charlotte Hornets, like I said, they've been a very fun team to watch. Brad Wanamaker, a great three-point shooter. He's not going to need to handle the ball or anything like that. So I think this is a win for the Charlotte Hornets. The Warriors getting cash considerations. The Warriors, they're in shambles right now. They are just a complete mess. They tried to trade Kelly Oubre through the entire trade deadline, and it didn't happen. And so we just have to see in the offseason what the Golden State Warriors are going to do, because obviously this is not what they was looking forward to. We obviously was looking forward to seeing somewhat of a decent roster with a healthy Klay Thompson, but that didn't happen. But hopefully by next season we get to see Klay again, and we get to see a better, more formidable roster from Golden State. So obviously I would say the Charlotte Hornets won this deal. Marquise Chris to San Antonio. And Golden State gets rights to who the hell did they get? You see, Katie Lalane. I don't know who. I'm not familiar with who that is. But Marquise Chris has just been that okay piece. Like, he's a lob threat. He's a decent. He could protect the rim somewhat, but he's not exactly. He's not exactly somebody that's impactful, and he's not expected to play much anyway because he suffered a left ankle injury. So the Spurs, they got something. They got something for next season, but I'm not entirely crazy about this one. I don't think anybody else. I don't think anybody else is. The Toronto Raptors receive a 2021 second round pick. No, the Toronto Raptors receive a 2021 second round pick, and the Utah Jazz receive Matt Thomas, a great 3-point shooter. The Utah Jazz apparently were in the market for a wing defender, but obviously they didn't get that. But he does. Matt Thomas does provide them with more 3-point shooting, which the Utah Jazz have been killing it from 3-point percentage so far this season. And the Utah Jazz, they just got more spacing when it comes to their squad. Like I mentioned, JaVale McGee going to the Denver Nuggets, while the Cleveland Cavaliers receive Isaiah Hartenstein and a 2023 second-round pick and a 2027 second-round pick. I already mentioned how I like JaVale McGee and Aaron Gordon going to the Denver Nuggets. And let's see, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers they just been up and down. They just need to start somewhat over and build on their young guys. DeLon Wright to Sacramento, and while the Sacramento Kings send Corey Joseph to the Kings with us. The Detroit Pistons receive Corey Joseph, a 2021 second-round pick, and the 2024 second-round pick, while the Sacramento Kings get DeLon Wright. DeLon Wright, he's a great piece. I liked seeing DeLon Wright when he was in Toronto. When he was in Toronto in 2018 or the 2018-2019 season, he was a great rotation player, great 3-point shooter. He great at attacking the basket. He was a great playmaker. So I think he's great for Sacramento. Like I said, it's just something to build on. You're getting a foundation in Sacramento, which is something you have not had since 2006, or obviously since that crazy team they had in 2002. So, to me, this is a great deal for the Sacramento Kings. Corey Joseph's been all right. I haven't really seen him be the same since his days in Indiana, but like some players some players are just travel around the league like that, and they just don't see the value in certain players until they get to a certain team. And to me, Corey Joseph had that team in Indiana, and he just hasn't been the same since to me. So obviously, Sacramento to me benefits more from this. We all know about PJ Tucker going to Milwaukee. I pretty much just covered every trade that went on during the trade deadline. So to me, you know my winners, you know my losers, and you know my opinions on the trade deadline. Let me know in the comment section who you thought won in the trade deadline. Maybe you disagree with me, because I'm not trying to say I'm always right when it comes to the NBA, because obviously we're not perfect. Some of us are right, a lot of us can be wrong. So, like I said, I gave my opinion. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Anyway, I believe that's it. That's all. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell if you like basketball content. Stay safe. This is your boy Jay Varsity, and I'm out. Peace.
We got some non-believers out there.
Make believers out of non-believers. Make believers out the overseers. Make them bow down.